Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Okay, I've been away. I took some time off. I had a good time. Hope you can see me this morning. Trying to get the lighting together. Uh, I think you can see behind me, and that's good. I just want to make sure you see me. But good morning, good morning, good morning. I'll make sure my comments come in. I'm just excited about. I'm back. I had a good time, just chilling, having a time of just listening to jazz. That is my thing. I am a little jazz head. Love it, love it, love it. There's just nothing like it as far as I am concerned. So I got to hear so many people that were really good. Now, they had a few that they could have just, not paid any money for it, but it is what it is. You get the great with the okay. And so there were a few okays there. And that's when I walked around and tried to get my steps in. In fact, I think one day I got in close to 7,800 steps. So I was actually feeling pretty good. I need to get in 10,000 steps, but for some reason, that heat down there in Panama City was just killing it. So, and then there were so many people that once you walk someplace, you may or may not even get in all the steps that you needed. But for the most part, it was a great, great time. But anyway, I hope your weekend was well. And here we are with you on Wednesday. So hope the beginning of this week, Monday, Tuesday, and today have gone well. Um, Let me say that today I want to talk about a deal. How many of us have been in deals? Well, I just made one because I do have a brand new car. Well, it's a brand new car to me, and I received it on Monday night. I got back into to town, and Carvana delivered it, and I was really excited about it as the young lady was rolling it off the truck. And so I'm back in business again. I can get around and do things for myself and not have to wait on anybody to do anything for me. So that makes it very, very exciting. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about deal, and I don't know if you all have been in deals or not, but deals are there's something to see, quite interesting when you realize that we all probably have had to deal with something. We've dealt with things personally. We've dealt with things that aren't so personal, but it may be financial things that we're dealing with. It may be sickness. It may be we all have to negotiate a deal for ourselves at some point in time. It may be that we need to do what I did, which was just take some rest. Just realize that I just needed to chill out for a minute and not do anything. But anyway, I am here today to just say that whatever you did, I hope you did it well and that you know what a deal is and what a deal has isn't a good deal. Sometimes we have to have a discerning spirit that we know that a deal isn't a deal. So I found this poem by Anthony Mayfield that I think pretty much addresses what you can and cannot do and what really kind of addresses the need for a deal at some point that we have to make. Um, so it's actually says affirmation by Anthony Mayfield. It says, you know what? I want to dance down the street without music. I know the song. It's memorized, embossed, on my brain. So you can have your Oldsmobile radio, but I will dance down the street, deal with it. You know what? I want to sing in the hills like Maria, a song all my own, and the hills and the breeze will harmonize and the stream will dance. So you can keep your televised singing reality, but I will sing in the hills. Deal with it. You know what? I want to run. Nowhere in particular, just away. And that's perfectly okay. I need air in my lungs, so you can keep your treadmills, but I will run nowhere in particular. Deal with it. You know what? I'm going to shout from the highest mountaintop. The world will hear my deepest cry, and with happy tears, I'll finally cry. So you can live your life, but I will shout for mine. Deal with it. I will live my life my way. Deal with it. How many of us have realized that we sometimes tower down to what other people think we shouldn't deal with, and we do. We deal with people, we deal with you know money, we deal with time, we deal with a lot of things. So when we decide that we're going to deal with it, that's what we're going to do. We have to do it. We have to do it. So anyway, I'm gonna ask you to stuck. Do occasionally you get stuck with dealing with things that you either don't want to deal with or it's too much to deal with? I certainly have. I can tell you I have done it over and over and over again. It doesn't change me. It just makes me stronger as I go forward, realizing that my deal is my deal. I have to deal with it. So anyway, what is deal? It says deal is an agreement entered into by two or more parties for their mutual benefits, especially in business. Or it could be a political context. It says, or it could take action in regard to something or something. That deal, that comes about. Like I had to make a deal in order to get a car, but we have to make a deal, which ends up being in the form of a contract to have a house. And we have to deal when we go to work, with whatever assignments that we've been given, or we might be the one that's giving out the assignments, making someone else realizing that we have to negotiate how and when things are due. What is the suspense date? That's dealing. And sometimes our deal doesn't always align with other people's deal. They can see it differently for themselves than what we see it, that we need it from them. But it is what it is. It says, so a deal, it's an agreement, it's a pact, it could be a compact or a bargain, it could be a covenant, a contract, a treaty, a protocol. It says it can be an intent, an intente, something that occurs, something that has an accommodation to it. There's a requirement for it, something that could compromise us. How many of them have been compromised by the deals that we've taken on? Could be settlement or a negotiation, terms. How many of us have dealt with terms and we read the terms after we already signed something? Okay, how about it could be that it has compromised us. We didn't intend to be compromised, but we were by signing something before we fully read it. It could be a settlement of some sort. Like in order for me to get my new car, I needed to settle with my insurance company, the old car, which they totaled. So, I needed the settlement to take place. And then there's a negotiation, which was for anything else I'm going to do. There's the terms in which the deal falls under. Sometimes we have to pay attention to the finer print. Sometimes it's so small they don't intend for you to see it, but it's there. And as soon as something goes wrong or you need to question them on something, they will say, but it's in the contract that you've signed, or it's in what we negotiated. So you must pay attention. And it says it could be in the sale of something, like when it says no warranty or sold as is. Guess what? That's a deal if you take it. You decided to take it like that. It's an account of what is happening or what should happen. It may be an indenturement where more is required. You have to pay 6 months and then you have to pay 2 more months and so forth and so on. But they're basically making sure that you know the criteria that you've signed under. And then ultimately it is a transaction. So to deal with things sometimes requires money, time, and attention, and so many things that busy people sometimes don't always do. They don't always pay attention to. And we need to. We just absolutely need to. So when we break the word down and you ask yourself, have you occasionally been stuck in a deal? I know I have. Many people have. And it ends up being just kind of weird because you realize I made a decision about something that I should have taken more time before I made that decision. But that's what happens. Sometimes we do things in a hurry. So it says, my D is for decision. I don't see anybody in yet, but I know that they may be over on one of the other platforms. But anyway, my D is for decision, because I believe when you make a deal, you've made a decision to buy something, to get involved in something, to work something, to be a part of something. That is a decision, but it's a deal in the process, and a decision is a conclusion or a resolution reached after consideration. Meaning you've already considered it, and you consider what you're going to do with it, and that's how it comes about. So it says it's a resolution, a conclusion, a settlement, a determination, a choice. We have choices. We can make choices all the time. And it says it's an option. We can opt in or opt out. But if we opt in, we need to know, what are we agreeing to? What is the deal that we've agreed to? It talks about it being a verdict. In some instances, they can try to give you a plea deal, and it doesn't always work. The plea deal sometimes ends up being that they may be giving you less of a sentence, but it's still a sentence if you're in trouble. The judge may say, yeah, I heard what the request is, but the request has been denied. Okay. So then there's also a verdict. It's a selection of a process that may go on with you when we're making decisions, or someone else is making decisions on us. This was what gets me. It's a judgment. How many of us have been judged by something that we've done in a purchase or a follow-up to something that needed to have more of a platform of consideration after we made our decision? So then there's a judgment about what we did. Did we make the wrong decision? What did we do? It says there's also a pronouncement, an adjudication. To me, that's very legal. I didn't realize what adjudicated meant when I, had gone with my first client to court when I worked for an agency, and they said, well, adjudicate it. And I said, adjudicate it. And of course, I didn't have Merriam-Webster with me, nor my smartphone, which I have now. So I said, adjudicate. That just sounds legal, like there's some bindingness to that. Well, it was. The young person ended up getting, I think, 2 years probation, and they thought it was just the worst thing in the world. And I'm thinking, but you didn't go to jail. You didn't have to serve any time other than the overnight stay that you had. So not great, but it still happened. Not great. Then we would talk about arbitration, a sentence, because many people that have been in trouble, their deal was that their lawyer couldn't get them a better deal. So they were actually sentenced to some time. It may be a decree or an order. Decisions are a rule. A lot of times when decisions have been made, it's hard to get people to go back through a decision that's been made, especially if it's a legal decision or it's a financial decision that you can't, return on. Even the car I bought says I only have 7 days to determine if I like it. After the 7 days, it's mine. So I have to make a decision quickly. I have to realize, do I want to stay with the deal that I started, or do I want to start all over and find another car? Decisions also talk about the findings, the results, and there it is. That's what we deal with when we're dealing with anything that has a decision requirement attached to it. When we move on in our work of the working of the word deal, deal for me is also an engagement. An engagement is an arrangement to do something or go somewhere of a fixed time, at a fixed time. An engagement means I'm going to be, traveling, leaving at 7 o'clock. The event starts at 6. I'll be there at 6:01, whatever it is. But it's basically a time in which you're supposed to, or you're scheduled to be, or you want to be someplace at a certain time or do something. And so it is an appointment, or it is appointed time it's a commitment, meaning I know I need to commit to this because this is a requirement that I would be there. It may be a meeting or an interview. Like, I traveled, coming back on Monday late. Well, after I received my car, I immediately had a board meeting downtown at 6 o'clock. So I'm running, trying to get to the car and get all the paperwork done, the deal, and then of course get downtown, which was the engagement. So that's life. We do that all the time where we have appointments and commitments, and we're constantly on our own schedules, to get things done and get things accomplished. Um, but it also talks about it being a time in which we would look at, a period of interviewing and meeting and consultation when we have to meet with certain people, and the sessions that we might be involved in. Um, it's a dated time that we would be doing it. It's also when we might be meeting with certain associations, and maybe a rendezvous, meeting with people, friends, where we're all going to meet up at a certain place and have dinner. Okay. And then it's just the appointment of realizing that all are coming together for the purpose of whatever the deal is going to be. It could be as simple as dinner, or it could be that you're signing contracts for certain um, things that you're going to be doing. So that's how that would be. When we move further on in our word, we would talk about what is the arrangement. How do we arrange ourselves to do a deal and be on time and be in the right frame of mind? Meaning, we read all the particulars of what is being required of us, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't. So the arrangement is the action or the process of the results of arranging or being arranged, or what is being arranged. So it's positioning, and it's a disposition. It may be marshaling, knowing that you need to just make sure that all this is done in a way that it's constructive for those that are going to be a part of whatever the arrangement is. It may be ranging or ordering. It may be placing things in order for a group of people. It may be grouping people together. Or sometimes when we deal on multiple levels. We may be dealing with the time and the money and the who's coming and all those kinds of things. And then we have to go with how we arrange it. Where's everybody to be seated? How many people are we talking about? All those kinds of things. It says that there might be a sorting, such as families sit together, or no children, or children. And, so constantly you're looking at how, when we're dealing, all of these things come together. It also talks about the classification, and that's how it is. How is it arranged? Is it arranged where, sometimes even when you're doing pictures, you want to arrange everybody maybe according to height, or to the colors that they have on, whatever it is that you're doing. um but it's a deal if it gets done. And then you talk about the categorization, um the preparations and the plans. All those are part of what we do when we're arranging things that end up being a deal that we've made an agreement upon. We realized that we needed 20 people to work on putting on a particular program, and we need so many doing this, so many doing that. That would be the grouping and the arrangement of how it's going to work. And hopefully it's been screened and timed out in such a way that it will make sense of how it goes. And lastly, for a deal, to me, needs to be legitimate. Is it legitimate? Is it the right thing I should be doing? Should my money be going this way? Should my time be going in that direction? I speak of time or things in time, not always about time, but it ends up that many of the things that we do require us to be involved for a certain amount of time, or it might be money, or it might be commitment, just that you're involved in it for on the ground level, or you're going to be there for the long haul. You have to determine how long you want to be involved. So legitimate makes sense to me, conforming to the laws or the rules. Sometimes when we're dealing with things that we have made deals on, we have to talk about it. Is it legal? Is it lawful? Is it authorized? I was looking at TV this morning, and one of the things they were showing was Sheeran. I think his name is Ed Sheeran, the wonderful musician, and his song is being challenged by Marvin Gaye's family on thinking that some of the, I guess it would be some of the notes, the note patterns or whatever, might be, have been stolen, and utilized in another song. So they're investigating that now, and obviously they're having a trial, and out of all of this, it will fall out as if it's true. There will be a judgment. There will be, a decision based on, I guess, the jury having to decide whether they hear the same notes that, or the same lick, or the bars that Marvin Gaye used in his songs. But you never know. You never know, because there's only so many notes, and after a while, when will a song not be like sampling? Because there's only so many notes. There's only so many ways to play. So, to say that someone is really being innovative, it may be what was given to them, mentally, but it may still, encroach on what someone else has already done. You just never know. You never know how life may fall out on you when you think you're putting out your best vibe, your best way forward, and someone still can say, but that sounds like my work. Well, I don't know. After a while, you have to ask, whose work is it? Whose work is it? So when we have something that is legitimate, that means it's allowable. Someplace it may be questioned, but it may be allowed. Is it admissible? If something is legitimate, is it admissible, like through a court system? Is it constitutionally sound? When we make a deal, we want to make sure that we've addressed all the things that certainly may come back to us, that may look at the legal aspect, the lawful aspect, the permission, those kinds of things. It's almost like, you would like, if you are an artist of that sort, that you would, I guess, test the water, find out, this sounds like someone else, and I think with that new chat bot, I believe eventually that kind of system, which is an artificial intelligence system, will be able to identify things that may sound like they came from another song previously out there. You just never know what AI is going to do in the future, or algorithms. You never know. So anyway, with a deal being legitimate, it also talks about it being valid. And I tell you, if you sign a deal, contract or whatever, it is binding. It is binding, and they say it's also stationary. It is above board. It's not, something that it's not valid. It is valid. As much as people think that sometimes the deals aren't good deals, it's like you should question before and not after. And then if you have to question after, you have to stay on it. You have to stay on it and go back and say, look, I know I have so much time or I have to prove that this is a scam. And there's so many scams going on right now that you need to be very vigilant on, your credit card usage, your debit card usage, where you're going, what you're doing, all of that kind of stuff. Legitimate is also upright, and it's backed by the book, meaning that someplace or another, somebody's going to look at it and say, well, yeah, you signed it. They signed it. It's a deal. It is a deal. But anyway, I didn't get anybody coming in today. I don't know if they were they just missed me, but they can always come and watch it later on. You can also send it out later on. Once you watch it, you can share it with others. But I will always be hanging out here on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, unless I took off like I did for Friday and Monday. But I am back. I will see you on this Friday with another word of Are You Stuck? Which just asked that question. It's a personal question. I'll tell you, sometimes I get stuck. I get stuck as to, what I put out there, or, being, what I call multi required in several different areas. But I'm good at what I love, which is just wanting to be here when you all can come in, and even when you can't. This is the record of it. Okay, I will see you on Friday. Take care. Pay attention to the deals that you're involved in. Go back over some of the things that you've signed, or some of the things that you've committed to. You've made a deal. Know what the deal is really involving in terms of your time, your required money, your attention. Okay, all of those things apply. I love you guys and appreciate you for coming in. Pass this on. I love you, and I'll see you on Friday. Thank you so much. Bye bye.